Okay, so this is chapter 8, Gift for the Darkness. First thing you want to be annotating is right here, page 154, bottom of the page. The beast had teeth, said Ralph, and big black eyes. He shuddered violently. Piggy took off his one round of glasses and polished the surface. So this shows fear of the beast, fear of the unknown, and also that Piggy is still clinging to his one piece of civilization in the form of his one round of his glasses. Then on page 155, just here, he was twisting his hands now, unconsciously. His voice rose. So we can't have a signal fire, we're beaten, and this represents, of course, rescue and hope, because they're still holding out hope for both rescue and that the signal fire represents this. Then you're looking down here, bottom of 156.
Testing.
Yes, hunting, said Jack. He remembered his age-old tremors in the forest. Yes, the beast is a hunter. Only shut up. The next thing is that we couldn't kill it. And the next thing is that Ralph says my hunters are no good. So here you can see that the beast is sort of starting to become a real thing in their minds. And they all have their own theories of the beast and what they do and how dangerous it is and if it can be beaten. And then it just follows on. I've got the conch. Ralph thinks you're cowards running away from the boar and the beast. And that's not all. So there's them having an argument about who's at fault for the not killing the beast and not hunting it, and if they're afraid and who's really afraid and all those sort of issues. He's like Piggy. We're looking here, top of page 157. He's like Piggy. He says things like Piggy. He isn't a proper chief. So this represents the theme of leadership and also characterization of Piggy. Moving over, 159, we're looking at a Jack characterization, and they say, we can do without Jack Merridew. There's others besides him on the island. But now we got to really get a beast.
Testing 1, 2, 3.
Though I can't hardly believe it, we'll need to stay close to the platform. There'll be less need of him and his hunting. So now we can really decide on what's what. So they're trying to get rid of Jack and trying to replace him. So you could perhaps talk about a political reading here, in that he's sort of been overthrown, at least symbolically, if not in actuality. And then page 160, halfway down the page, we got no fire on the mountain, but what's wrong with a fire down here? A fire could be built on them rocks, on the sand even. We'd make smoke just the same. So this is the tribe starting to make plans for their fire, to get their own fire, so they can also cling to their hope of their own, which is that they could get their own fire and also be rescued. And of course, because they're broken up into tribes, it's like they feel as though they will be rescued, whereas the other ones perhaps will be left behind. And so that's why they need their own fire, because they are their own group. They're no longer connected to this amorphous group of children. They consider themselves separate. This is a nice little one here on page 161, a Piggy characterization. Piggy was so full of delight in expanding liberty in Jack's departure, so full of pride in his contribution to the good of society, that he helped to fetch wood. The wood he fetched was close at hand, a fallen tree on the platform that he did not need for the assembly. Yet to the others, the sanctity of the platform had protected even what was useless there. Then the twins realized they would have a fire near them as a comfort in the night, and this set a few little ones dancing and clapping hands. So this shows that Piggy, even when he's trying really hard to sort of fit in and to be useful, he still sort of takes the easy way out and relies on his logic as much as possible rather than his physical brawn. Page 162, another Piggy characterization. We could experiment, he says. We could find out how to make a small hot fire and then put green branches on to make smoke. So this shows again, he represents science and logic, and this fits really neatly in with that allegory for his character. Moving on to page 165, towards the bottom of the page. Now listen, we might go later to the Castle Rock, but now I'm going to get more of the big uns away from the conch and all that. We'll kill a pig and give a feast. And about the beast, when we kill, we'll leave some of the kill for it. Then it won't bother us, maybe. So again, still focused on the beast and how they can kill it, how they can solve this problem that they've found. Page 167, about halfway down. This is an example of pig hunting. An example of hunting, I guess, but this specifically is the pig hunt, which has some significance, and the sow, or the pig, the female pig, represents innocence. So if you read through this section here, you can see the way that they kill the pig and the savagery they apply to it, which is another aspect of this quote. And then 168, then Jack found the throat and the hot blood spouted over his hands. The sow collapsed under them and they were heavy and fulfilled upon her. So this is not a symbol yet, but this is strangely sexual language being used here by the author to show that they've sated their desire for killing. And occasionally people consider murder, they relate to sex for whatever reason. But here we see the new symbol of sort of the freeing nature of their violence that they do to the sow. And then on this right hand side, page 169, we see sharpen a stick at both ends. Where's that stick? Here. Ram one end in the earth. Oh, it's rock. Jam it in that crack there. So this is our first emergence of the double-sided spear or stick, which represents the move from violence towards into human violence. So a spear is used for killing an animal, whereas a double-sided stick, as they would continue to refer to it as, is an actual weapon that you can use against a human. So this whole section sort of covers it, but I've just highlighted these 3 little points for the importance of it. And then we can flip to page 175. The fire is the most important thing. Without the fire, we can't be rescued. I'd like to put on war paint and be a savage, but we must keep the fire burning. So this shows really clearly we've got war paint as one motif and we've got fire as the other. So there's 2 sides of the coin. He's saying, I would love to sort of become savage and to go into the idea of war paint and, you know, getting naked and running around with a spear and killing people. But instead, I must stay logical and I must stay hopeful and perhaps even religious and keep the fire burning, both literally and metaphorically. So page 177, this is where the Lord of the Flies actually emerges, and this represents evil and also the evil in man. So for Simon, as we know, he's sort of the symbol of the religious aspects of the text. He's sort of seen as a Jesus or Christ-like figure. So I'll jot that down. So for him, he makes the belief in the Lord of the Flies into a real thing. So whether he's hallucinating or he's making his own reality, or if this is a real interaction, or perhaps there's actually a person in or behind the sow's head saying these things, is kind of up to you to make your own reading of the text. But the Lord of the Flies says, you are a silly little boy, just an ignorant, silly little boy. Don't you agree? Aren't you just a silly little boy? So it's sort of showing the way that it's literally and figuratively getting into his head. Down the bottom we've got, there isn't anyone to help you, only me, and I'm the beast. And then you knew, didn't you? I'm part of you, close, close, close. I'm the reason why it's no go, why things are what they are. So he's sort of saying that, like, I'm a part of your character, I'm a part of your being, I'm the reason that these things are a problem. Kind of in the sense that you are the problem, not me. So I think that's a really important page, and you could probably even continue it over to here somewhat if you would like, to make more of a closer reading than just finding the key quotes. But this is a really key thing, and for you to decide what and how to understand this and how you conceptualize this page is really important for you to think about. That's chapter 8.